The large majority of people are locked out of home ownership at this point. The percentage of first-time home buyers is at an all-time low. Don't quote me on that, but pretty sure we're at an all-time low or very close to it. And Canada is turning into a renter's nation if it isn't already. And it wasn't too long ago that I would have made this video and framed it from a different perspective, but today I'm gonna go a whole nother route and give you the harsh reality of this situation. I'm that Agent Kelly. I talk about Canadian real estate and my local market of Abbotsford and the Fraser Valley. If you're into that, subscribe, click that bell, like this video. If you wanna chat with me, there's a link in my description. If you want pre-sale deals right to your email, sign up to the newsletter below. When I bought my first home, it was a tremendous amount of work, sacrifice, long hours, living frugal, never spending money on eating out, never buying new clothes, never buying new shoes, never going on vacation, never going to concerts, never doing anything. Just like living frugal, working, saving, and I bought my first place at 22. However, today, looking back at that job, when I run the numbers versus, what I would have been making versus the expenses today after inflation and everything has gone crazy, I would literally be breaking even or possibly even in the red every month. And I'm talking like if I were to just rent your run-of-the-mill 2-bedroom condo in Surrey, I'd probably be losing money every month. Now, before I was a realtor, I was a plumber for 8.5 years, and I made what was considered to be great money. It was roughly 6 figures, give or take 10K. And, with inflation and stuff like that, obviously plumbers make more money today, but not that much more, probably 20, 30,000 bucks more. And like I said, running the numbers, my mortgage was $1,000 a month back when I was a plumber in 2020, living in Abbotsford in a 1980s condo. And, if I were to rent a run-of-the-mill 2-bedroom condo in Surrey, which costs like 2,600 bucks a month, I would literally be losing money every month. And that's just the housing cost. That's not the gas. That's not the groceries. That's not everything else. And I am not at all discrediting plumbers by any means. In fact, plumbers comparatively make amazing money. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows plumbers make good money, man. They make like 50 bucks an hour, and that's working for somebody else. They also have a lot of overtime and night shifts and etc. So they make good coin. But what I'm saying is if a job like that, into the mid 6-figure earner is now break even renting a condo in Surrey, there's clearly an issue here. So today, my take on this wouldn't be to do what I did. It wouldn't be work hard and be frugal and save money. And interestingly enough, I've made videos in the past saying exactly that you should do that. Today, I believe that if you want to get into your first home, I think you may want to take an offensive approach rather than a defensive approach. And what I mean by that is instead of focusing on saving money and frugality and, essentially playing defense, I think you may want to consider starting a business and focusing on the income side of things, and then putting every penny back into that business to increase that income as fast and as soon as you possibly can. Because I think the reality of it is when you do finally buy that first home, you can afford to buy that first home, you're going to have to then continue living frugally for the next 10 to 15 years. It doesn't just stop at the purchase of the home. Now you've got the liability of paying for that purchase of the home for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Life's short, dude. I think you may want to enjoy living your life a little bit sooner than that. And I know people will say, oh, well, not everybody can start a business. We need people doing these jobs and et cetera, et cetera. And of course we need people doing these jobs, but why you? Why does it have to be you? And I'm not here to tell you that starting a business is going to be easy. It's definitely the most difficult thing I've ever done, but unfortunately, I don't think anything is easy anymore. I mean, just look at 40 years ago. You could have worked a regular average job, worked your 40 hours a week, and that would have supported a wife, 2 kids, a detached home in Vancouver, and 2 current model vehicles. And I think it's only going to get harder and harder and harder. And therefore, I think it's worth going through the pain of starting a business and struggling and being broke for a couple years to build the skills, because I think the only thing that's going to give you a decent standard of living in the future will be those skills. And the thing with being in business is that it gets easier, just like anything else. It gets easier the longer you've been in it. And personally, I found that the time actually passes a lot quicker when you're in business because you're always busy. There's no dead space. There's always something you could be doing to improve your business. And I also find that so much can happen in a very small amount of time, whereas I felt at my old job, my life, like aside from a very few small changes, was pretty much the same for 6 years. Whereas in business, every 6 months, my life is like almost drastically different than the previous 6 months. My life is not even recognizable from just 2 years ago. And I also think there's nothing more fulfilling than waking up every day and having the opportunity to build something. I've found that I've personally never been happier than when I've been producing within my business. When things are going well, that's the happiest I've ever been. So this video isn't meant to be negative or put people down or anything like that, but I genuinely think that if you focus on the defensive side, you're probably going to lose. I think the only way out of this, where you get to live a comfortable life and go on vacation when you want and raise a family and everybody's comfortable and everything, is going to be having a higher income, much higher than the average, because the average is getting very close to poverty at this point, and that is probably going to continue to get worse. But more or less, this video is just the thoughts from a guy who's been there, done that. I did the blue collar thing. I worked crazy hours. I saved money for many years. I was frugal, and I'm just saying, today, if I was 21 years old in that same position, I would not go that route. I mean, unless I was in tech or something maybe, but if I had to go get, a normal job, 21 years old, that would not be the route that I personally would take today, right? You can do whatever you'd like to do. This is just thoughts from a random Fraser Valley realtor. And personally, the large majority of entrepreneurs that I know, once you get started on this journey, it is way too painful to have to go back to the way things were before. You know too much, you've done too much, and even though you're failing and things are hard, the pain of giving up on that and going back to the way things were is far greater than the pain of just continuing on the path that you're currently on. So my advice to you, if this video at all resonated with you, just jump on the path. Start working towards building your own business. It's personally made me happier than I've ever been before. I'm more fulfilled than I've ever been before. And again, this video is not at all to put down anybody, but there was a time 200 years ago where everybody in society was an entrepreneur. I don't remember what period of time that was actually called. I don't think it was the Industrial Revolution. I think it was before that, but I think we can go back to that. I think we will end up back in a society where the large majority of people are entrepreneurs and selling something, running a business, etc. And I think it's going to be very important to have those skills in the future. But I'm not a philosopher. Again, a realtor. Who knows? Anyways, if you enjoyed this, subscribe to the pre-sale deal newsletter, like this video, subscribe to the channel. I'm that Agent Kelly, making moves to move you. Peace.